So, fifth grade, we are open up to our next clean page in our math notebook, and we are going to start on our notes for today. So, at the top, we are writing 5.4, use partial quotients to divide. So, 5.4, use partial quotients to divide. And then today's date of 9/22/20. And put a thumbs up on your desk when you have the title and today's date at the top. It's focused now. Because it's a camera and it's just always adjusting itself. And put a thumbs up on your desk when you've got that on your notebook paper. Awesome. Thank you, guys. While you're waiting for your classmates to finish getting the title and the date, just think to yourself. You don't need to talk. Just think to yourself what you think partial quotients means. Think about what we know about other terms that sound similar to that, but just think to yourself about what you think partial quotients are. Jack P, you got it written down? Okay. Voices should be I. Thank you. All right, are we ready to move on? Okay, those of you who were sitting there thinking about partial quotients, raise your hand. What do you think partial quotients are? What do we think? What do we think? Zoe?
Partial quotient.
Yes, it's partial quotients.
Quotient like a quotient like division.
Okay, so Zoe was thinking, okay, quotient, that means division. All right, what else? What else were we thinking about? Eosius?
It's like special products for like non-division.
Okay. Partial, they're like partial products, but instead of multiplying, we're dividing. Okay, what else? Mackenzie?
Division with multiplication, but with division.
Like multiplication, but with division. Chanel?
It's like when you do multiplication, you get the two partial products.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you do division, you get a partial quotient. And a quotient is when you get an answer after you do a division
Problem.
thing.
Yep, a division problem.
So it's not the exact quotient,
Mm-hmm.
it's a partial quotient.
Okay, not the exact quotient, the partial quotient. So do we all agree that we think a partial quotient is like part of the answer to a division problem?
Yeah.
Is that what we're thinking? Yeah? Okay. Well, we're going to see. We have one vocab word to add today. So, vocabulary, and underline it. You guys know I don't give you a vocabulary word unless you need to know it. So, vocabulary. Are we ready for that vocabulary word? Okay, I'll give you another moment. Jack P. Vocabulary. Hey, you guys. Someone's blowing their nose. We don't need to comment about it. Thanks. All right. Our word. Quotient. And quotient is the answer to a division problem. We will have an example. So when we say quotient, we're talking about the answer to a division problem. Just like when we say product, that's the answer to a multiplication problem. A quotient is the answer to a division problem. And put a thumbs up when you've got this word and definition down. quotient is the answer to a division problem. I see some people finishing up the definition. The quotient, the answer to a division problem. Oops. I always bump that piece of paper. All right. You guys are doing great. Thank you. Okay, so quotient, the answer to a division problem. So if I look at my example here, if we take 6 and divide it by 3, we get 2. That is our quotient. That is the answer to that division problem. 6 divided by 3 equals 2, and 2 is our quotient. I know, we're reviewing it. But I'm glad you did this last year. That means you have some prior knowledge on this. Yeah, to get more knowledge and build off of that knowledge.
Solid.
Not quite. More like mathematics.
Well, science and
They go hand in hand. Yeah, science and mathematics. Are we ready to move on? Does anyone need more time? Okay, I'll give you another moment. You're done? Anyone else need more time? Okay, so before we go on to the next part of our notes, there's something I was just thinking about that I wanted to show you. Do you guys remember how I told you you have a multiplication table in your planner?
yeah.
Okay, so you guys know how to use that for multiplying numbers, right? Okay, you can also, in a way, use it for dividing. So if I look multiplication chart, so if you have a multiplication chart, like this one, so you can see if I follow 8 down to the 3 column, that's like 8 times 3 equals 24, right? Here, can I open like a new tab? See if this is bigger. Nope. Oh, open image in new tab. Let's see. Open image in new tab. Okay, so 8 times 1, 2, 3, that gets me 24, right? That's how we use multiplication tables. Well, you're dividing, like 6 divided by 3 from our example. What you could do is look at 3, and you can look to see if it evenly goes into 6 by just kind of going down, and we see 6. So that means if we take 6 and divide it by 3, we get 2. Yeah, or like if we're trying to see it, okay, 40 divided by 8, well, we'd find our 8. We'd go down, see if we can find 40. Oh, there it is. So 40 divided by 8 is 5. Yeah. This also works even if a number doesn't go into something evenly. Let's say you're trying to find 50 divided by 6. We'd go to our 6, we'd go down, and we try to see what number gets us as close to 50 as possible. And what number does, you guys?
48.
48. So we know that 6 can go into 50 8 times without going over. So you guys, you can use your multiplication table to help you while you're doing long division too. Okay? I want you to know that is a tool. Now, on your test, are you going to be able to use this table? No. But while we're learning, because that's what we're doing in class and what you guys are doing on homework, you're practicing and learning, you can use this tool because, eyes on me for a second, I've learned or seen that when students use their multiplication table for like multiplying and dividing, they get so used to seeing the numbers that they start to memorize those math facts. So you should be practicing math facts at home if that's not your strong suit, but when you're using the multiplication table, you get used to seeing those certain numbers. Like if you're looking for 5 times 10 enough, you know it's going to be 50 just from using your multiplication table. So you can use your multiplication table to help you with dividing. Pretty cool, huh? Yeah. All right, let's go ahead and move on to our next portion of our notes, which is practice. Go ahead and label it. All right, are we ready? Oh, okay, I'll give you another moment. Okay, so just like with our other notes, we're going to write down the problems first. I'm actually going to scoop this up. Okay, so we're just going to get these 4 written down. That's it, 4. Now, guys, did I leave a lot of space underneath? Yes, and I left space on top because we write on top of this line too. So I left 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 lines. So go ahead, get those written down. Okay, so if you're having a hard time seeing 5th grade, the first one is 210 divided by 15. Remember, the number we're dividing up goes inside of that division symbol. I can't remember what it's called. I'm sorry. But the number we're dividing up goes on the inside, and the number we're dividing it by goes on the outside. So 210 divided by 15 is number 1. Number 2 is 247 divided by 19. Then number 3 down here is 304 divided by 16. Number 4 is 713 divided by 23. Thumbs up on your desk when you've got these down. Okay, give you another moment to finish up if you're still finishing it up. Okay, number 4 is 713 divided by 23. I know that one's a little blurrier. Darker. Oh, my screen, it's not. All right, does anyone need more time? Okay, here's what we're going to do. We are going to do number 1 together because I know that sometimes when we switch from one skill to another, like multiplying to dividing, we don't always remember the steps. So we're going to do number 1 together. How does that sound? Okay, so number 1, we have 210 divided by 15. So basically, okay, before we move on, raise your hand if you have divided like this before. You've divided like this before in class, at school. Yeah? Raise your hand so I can see it. Okay, hands down. All right, so when we divide like this, basically we're asking ourselves, how many times can this 15 go into 210? And what we usually do is when we're looking at our number out here, does anyone remember what this number is called in a division problem? It's the nope, denominator is fractions. Good guess. I know Max knows, but he's working on 6th grade math. Let's see. So we know a quotient is the answer to a division problem, right? That's the quotient. Then we have two other words. We have divisor and dividend. What do you think number 15 is?
No, the dividend.
Okay, you can't just keep going back and forth. Max, what is it?
I don't remember.
It is the divisor because it is the one doing the dividing. It's dividing up 210. 210 is the number we're dividing, so that is the dividend. So our divisor is on the outside. I just wanted you to know that term. So we're asking how many times can 15 go into 210? So our steps, and I hope you're following along, our steps when it comes to this, we look at our 15 and we ask, can 15 go into 2?
No.
15 can go into 2? No. Can 15 go into 21?
Yes.
Okay, so then we have a yes. So then we would ask, how many times can 15 go into 21 without going over 21? Show me on your hands. How many times can 15 go into 21 without going over? Once. Because if we were to do 15 times 2, that'd be 30, and that's over 21. So we would put a 1 above the 1 in 21. So you should be following along with me, Jack B. In your notebook, you should be following along. And then, you guys, what is 15 times 1? 15. So then we would subtract 15 times 21, or from 21, sorry. And then, okay, 1 minus 5 we can't do, so we come over to the 2. Borrow, so that would become a 1. This would become 11. Oh, sorry, it's a little too close. This would become 11. 11 minus 5 is 6. And then 1 minus 1 is 0. Once we get that answer, see how we still have another digit in the number 210? We bring that down. Now we have 60. So then we do the same steps. How many times can 15 go into 60 without going over? 15 going into 60. Whisper to the person next to you. How many times? 4 times. So then, okay, 4 times. So then, okay, you guys, we want to make sure the 4 lines up. So make sure you're keeping everything in line. So all the way up, our 4 goes on top. What is 15 times 4? It's 60, right? So then we subtract 60. And what is 60 minus 60?
0.
0. And so what is our answer? So 14 up top. So 15 can go into 210 14 times. Or 210 divided by 15 gets us 14. We're going to circle the 14 since that is our final quotient. Would you guys like to do one more together? Okay, we'll do one more together, and then you guys can do 3 and 4 on your own. All right. Waiting for voices to be off. Rishi, what's your question?
Will there be remainders in these practices?
For this one, I don't think so, no. Because we're not talking about remainders today, okay? So I don't believe so. Okay, so number 2. And you guys, if you're like, what is Richie talking about? What is a remainder? A remainder would be like if we got down to here and like if we had 61 minus 60 and we had 1 left over, well, 15 can't go into 1, so we would have a 1 left over. That's a remainder. We'll talk about that later, though. Okay, number 2. 247 divided by 19. Okay, we ask, can 19 go into 2? No. Can 19 go into 24?
Yes. No.
How many times? Show me on your hand, please. It goes in once. So we put the 1 above the 4 and 24. 19 times 1 is 19. So we'll subtract the 19. Well, we can't do 4 minus 9, so I come over to the 2. I borrow from it. That becomes 1. The 4 becomes 14. What is 14 minus 9, 5th grade?
That is
5. What? Let's see. 5. You might. We'll see. All right. Then what do I do next? What do I have to do next? Raise your hand. What do I do next, Frankie? Then we bring down our 7. Okay. 19 going into 57. I want you to go off to the side and do the math if you need to. See how many times 19 can go into 57 without going over. Put a thumbs up on your desk when you know how many times 19 goes into 57.
Did you really just bring out your stuff?
Yeah, I wanted to double check.
So,
I thought I knew.
Daddy was like, back then when people would say, hey, you want to have a calculator in your pocket. Now you do.
Yeah. No. It's important, though, that you understand why it works, which is why we first learn it without using it. All right. On the count of 3, I want you to tell me how many times you think 19 goes into 57. So 1, 2, 3.
3.
It is 3. And does it go in evenly?
Wait.
It does, actually. So, first, 3, we bring it on up. 19 goes into 57 3 times, so we put a 3. 19 times 3 is 57. So then we subtract 57, and we're left with 0. So what is our answer to number 2, 5th grade? 13. So we're going to circle it. Okay. What I want you to do is complete number 3 and 4 on your own. Remember, we always start by asking, like for number 3, can 16 go into 3? If it can't go into 3, then we ask, can it go into 30? And that's where you get started. So go ahead, quietly work on 3 and 4. When you finish, you can silently read at your desk. And then we'll look at these together. Go ahead.
Maybe one moment to work.
not everyone finished all the problems. That is okay. Let's look at this together though. So if you are reading a book, you need to put it to the side. If you are working on something else, you need to put it to the side. Will, put your book away. Allison, put your book away. All right, let's look at this together. Ready to rock? All right, you guys. So, number 3. We have our 16. The first thing we ask is, can 16 go into 3? Can it? No. Can 16 go into 30?
Yes.
Show me on your hand, how many times does 16 go into 30? It goes in 1 time. So that 1 is going to go above the 0 and 30. 16 times 1 is 16. So we would subtract 16. Not during practice, Richie. I want you to be here while we're checking. And then we subtract. So we can't do 0 minus 6. So we have to borrow from the 3. So I'd cross out the 3, change it to a 2, and then that 0 would become 10. We put a 1 in front of it. 10 minus 6 is what? It is 4. And remember that 3 changed to a 2. So what is 2 minus 1? 1. Awesome. Then I bring down the 4. Now, 16 going to 144. How many of you had to do math off to the side to find out how many times 16 goes into 144? How many of you had to do math off to the side? I know I would have had to. I want to teach you a little trick when it comes to numbers like this. When you have a large number like 144, what I like to do is think to myself, okay, just off the bat, what's 16 times 10? And what is 16 times 10?
160.
It is 160. Now, is 160 close to 144?
Yeah,
Kind of. But it is over. So we know that 16 can't go into 144 10 times. But then I could think, okay, why not 8 or 9 times? So I like to kind of do that in my head. I'll think of, okay, like an easy multiplication problem, like 16 times 10 to see how close it gets me to 144. And then that can help me narrow down instead of trying like 16 times 5 and 16 times 6. That way it narrows it down a little bit for me before I start trying different multiplication problems. Show me on both of your hands, how many times does 16 end up going into 144? Use both of your hands to show me. Yeah, I see people holding up 9 fingers. 16 goes into 144 9 times. And what is 16 times 9? Who can raise their hand and tell me? What is that? What is that, Elena? It's exactly 144. So then we would subtract our 144. We wind up with 0. So our answer is 19. All right, our last one, number 4, 23. So 5th grade, can 23 go into 7? No. Can 23 go into 71?
Yes.
Show me on your hands, how many times does 23 go into 71? It goes in 3 times. And what is 23 times 3? What is it? Richie?
69.
It is 69. 69. So then we would, guys, subtract. It's a number. You're fine. All right, then we're going to subtract. Now, can we take 1 minus 9? Does that work? No, we have to borrow from the 7. Yeah, from the 7. So we cross out the 7. It becomes a 6. And then we put a 1 in front of the 1. So 11 minus 9 is 2. And then we can't do, or 6 minus 6 is 0. So there technically is a 0 there. Then we bring down our 3. How many times does 23 go into 23?
1.
1 time. So our 1 would go up top. We would subtract our 23. That gets us 0. Our answer is 31. Exactly. Now, you guys remember how we talked about partial quotients? In these problems, where do you think the partial quotients are? Where do you think the partial quotients are? Mackenzie? So, technically, I mean, they are kind of the steps, but they aren't quite the partial quotients. What do you think the partial quotients are? Because remember, a quotient is the answer to an answer to a division problem. What would be the partial quotients along the way? Chanel, what do you think? Yeah, as we go up top, that one that one would have been part of our answer, our partial quotient. And then we get our final one. So for most of them, you only have two numbers, so you kind of only have like one partial quotient along the way. But yes, exactly. Okay, homework. I want you to open up in your workbook to page 261. 261. Yes. Yep, we have
261?
261. 261. Yes.
So what?
Yep.
Oh my God. When we hit the 140? Yeah, we went at 140. Now we're 200.
261.
Mackenzie, just know that we're going to go all the way back later on.
All right. Ready to rock?
Ready to roll.
So you are circling on page 261. Number 2. Number 5. Number 11. Number 14. And number 16. So I will say it again. We are on page 261. 261.
262.
Well, yeah, that one too. 261. And you are circling number 2, number 5, number 11, number 14, so number 14, and then number 16. Are you on page 241, Jack P? 261, 261? Yeah. Are you on 261? All right, 261. All right, number 2, number 5, number 11, number 14, and number 16. Nice. Okay, so 5th grade, here's what we're going to do. We're going to have work time. During work time, I'm going to dismiss each row. You can go grab your snack, then come back in and work on your math homework and eat it, okay? So, are you going to bring it home and work on it then? Okay, I'm okay with that. So, I'm going to stop this.